Well, hello again. It's been a bit since I've put a video together, and I wanted to take today of all days as an opportunity to kind of give an update on where I stand 1 year later after my shoulder surgery. So today is Saturday, December 13th. And 1 year ago today, I had my shoulder surgery, and I wanted to give kind of a quick update on what's happened, where I stand today. I did a quick check before I started this video, and my last video I recorded on towards the end of February. So it's been a while. But with the anniversary of my surgery today, I thought it was a great opportunity to at least give those of you that might watch this and maybe find this on YouTube, maybe a little glimmer of hope for somebody that actually has come out the other side fairly well intact. Now, I put the caveat in previous videos that I know my situation is only my situation. Everybody else could have either something similar or something drastically different, both in the injury or the reason for you to get shoulder surgery, but also the result of said shoulder surgery and then your recovery from that. So I guess where I'm standing now today as far as my health, my goal, I mentioned in one of my initial videos was, hey, it'd be great if I could get back to 100%. I guess it depends on how you look at that. 100%. I was in a lot of pain at the time I had made the decision to push for surgery. But I guess what I was kind of referring to was, hey, if I could get back to 100% of my utility, my mobility, the use of my arm, day-to-day life. That was what I was shooting for. Now, at that time, I didn't know how realistic that would be because I was, for the most part, sitting in a sling and going through physical therapy. But here, 1 year later, I probably would quantify it that I'm about 95%, maybe say like 97% if I were to say it. It's not a full 100% because for any of those that maybe have been in, hopefully not a terrible auto accident, but if you've been in an accident and your car was damaged, for example, I've had a few minor fender benders, and the car's never quite the same again, right? There's, the frame's a little off, maybe the steering is, a little wonky. It's just never like it was beforehand. And so I realistically went into this thinking, I don't think I'll ever be, 100%. I'm not a spring chicken, but I was in fairly decent health. But I am here to tell you that 95, 97%, the reason it's not 100% is I haven't really pushed myself. I haven't, now I don't golf much anymore, but I haven't swung a golf club. I haven't really pushed with heavy weights while I lift, which got me into the trouble that led me to my surgery. But as far as mobility, reach overhead, no problem. Reach out ahead, no problems. Reach out to the sides, no problem. The biggest one for me was, kind of reaching up and behind. So my shoulder surgery was in my right arm, which is my non-dominant arm. But the reaching behind was the one I was really, really worried about because it was the slowest to come back to, some semblance of what I had before. But staying with it, working through it, going to PT, taking the exercises that they gave me to work on, I can actually reach up higher behind my back with my right arm now than I can with my left. Now, I think that's because I wasn't really working on stretching my left arm. But that being said, I am very pleased. I feel extremely fortunate to having got through this. I have done plenty of yard work. I have two sons that live in the area. They're both well into their 20s, and the youngest one, I bribed to come over. I give him a little bit of spending money to kind of help me in the yard. Many hands make light work, if you will. But don't tell him this, that I kind of also have it over so I can spend some time with him. And we get out there and we get a little bit of a sweat going throughout the spring and the summer after I'd finished up PT. So I guess just in a quick summary of the work that I had done for anyone that maybe didn't see the initial videos, I was weightlifting in the summer of 2024. My general workout just upstairs. I didn't belong to a gym. I just did some various exercises with 25-pound dumbbells, and I did just standard curls. I did flies, right, to work on the chest. I did tricep extensions, right, so above my head, so kind of sitting military press. And the one that got me in trouble, I did military press, as I mentioned. But the one that got me into trouble was when I was curling. I didn't feel a snap, but I did feel excruciating pain in the bicep area of my right arm. And I had strained it before in lifting. And so I just, again, getting older, decided, okay, give it some rest. Spent a couple of weeks, didn't lift, got back to it. And when I curled again, it just took one time when I curled up and the pain just brought me almost to my knees. It was excruciating. At that point, I knew I had some kind of damage. And so that kind of kickstarted the whole process of me going to the doctor, going through, x-rays, did that show anything? And then ultimately led to an MRI. This is now in the September, October timeframe that I'm going of 2024. We're sitting here in 2025 today. And that ultimately led to me getting an MRI. And the doctor said at that point that, yep, you've got a full thickness tear of your supraspinatus. And then I also had some interstitial tearing across the shoulder as well. I had what's known as kind of the hook version of the acromion, the extension off of the shoulder clavicle. And that is the one that's more problematic for, when it's curled, the room underneath for the tendons and the tissue to move through the shoulder is impinged, right? It's reduced at that point. And so I was getting pain from that. And so that was, he told me it was a type 3 acromion, subacromion. And so I also had some damage to the bursa sac. And then the one that I wasn't even aware of, but it was my bicep, is I had a tear of my long head muscle and tendon of my bicep. So I had to get kind of a cut and remounting of my supraspinatus. I then had to have my major pectoralis muscle and tendon that reaches across the chest and into the arm. That had to be cut and re-anchored. And so those were the two major surgical procedures that I had to get done. And then cleaning up subacromium, removed the bursa sac. He cleaned up some arthritis that was in there. And then so after all that was said and done, I went to PT for 33 different sessions. So I counted those up. I don't know if that's a lot compared to others. I didn't expect that many. I think initially they had told me, well, we'll get you in maybe 20. And so I went towards the end of May was my last session. And they were fantastic, but helped me get through, learn how to reuse my shoulder, both from a healing perspective as I moved through the process, but then the kind of everyday activities. So simple thing. Now I'm left-handed, and it's my right hand, my right arm, but my right hand. So things like eating, using a fork, brushing your teeth. But I made the previous videos about some of the challenges with how do you do all of that, or at least how do I do with all of that. But I'm here to say, 1 year later, that I am feeling very, very good about the surgery, my rehab and physical therapy, and then the subsequent taking over my own health. So the exercises I do now, I don't use those 25-pound dumbbells anymore. I use, my wife has a set of 8-pound dumbbells, and so I curl with that. And I'm ready to go up. Months ago, I was ready to go up. I just haven't pushed it at this point. And so I will probably, maybe when the calendar flips to 2026, maybe I'll go up to 10 or some weight around there. I'm not looking to get back to the weightlifting I was doing before. While it wasn't heavy weights, at this point, I don't need to have a revisit to what I went through. So I'm just looking to stay in some kind of decent shape. So at this point, I do curls. I do laying on my back now. I don't do the military press sitting for my tricep extensions. They called them at PT skull crushers, right? So I do curls for bicep, tricep extensions for the back of the arm, the tricep. I did do some exercise that kind of stretched out horizontally away from my body with those 8-pound dumbbells. But I also found that it started creating a little bit of discomfort. So I stopped those altogether. But I do the raising of the weights in front of me, which don't cause me any problem or discomfort. And so I kept doing those, keep doing those. And so that builds up the front of the shoulder. And then I started out with just push-ups. So that helps build my chest kind of back up. So I started out with, on the stairs doing push-ups. And so more of an inclined push-up, which I'd be up, maybe 3 steps and then do my standard push-ups. And I went from just doing, 3 in a set, 1 time, every other day. So my workout days are generally Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I graduated after building up strength from that and the healing to I was at just doing normal push-ups on the floor, 3 by 10 sets. And then a couple of months ago, I got back to close to what I was doing, which was, I used to do 4 by 25s. So 4 sets of 25 reps of push-ups each. And that gave me enough exercise in my chest to feel like I had some strength there. So for my day-to-day activities of, working around the house, working in the yard, if I ever go golfing again. My youngest son's picked up golfing, so who knows? Maybe that's something he and I can do. And so I've actually moved up to 4 by 10 reps on my push-ups. And that's my exercise routine as far as anything, above the waist, specifically having to do with my shoulder. I've had no issues. Strength has come back. So I feel very comfortable with doing activities like that. I have, also taken up I have a stationary bike. And so for my below waist and my cardio, I do at least 15 minutes when I work out, but my general ride, we have a program that we use. My wife uses it for her yoga that I use for biking. And so those are 45-minute sessions and, gets up out of the seat so I can actually work on the strength of my legs. So I'm trying to balance my workout routine. So all that to say that here I am 1 year later. You look back and it's happened, flown by it quickly, but going through it, there was some arduous days, some challenges. Sometimes I didn't feel like I was making the progress, especially the reaching behind. And they reminded me at physical therapy, be patient, right? Let your body be the guide. Kind of as I mentioned in previous videos, give yourself some grace, right? You've gone through a catastrophic, injury, and then the actual surgery, right? There was a lot of kind of readjustment that took place in the shoulder. And so all that to say, 1 year later, happy anniversary, right? Kind of knock on wood that, one day at a time. And I try to stay as positive as I can. And knowing that I've built a good base foundation of my understanding of what my shoulder can do. I listen to my body. I always kind of did that anyway. But, I don't know, maybe somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought I was, somewhat indestructible. I'm not. No one is. I'm glad to have that behind me. So for any of you that are watching this video that maybe, here we are a year later, that you might be preparing at the decision point, do you get surgery? This, not medical advice from me. I'm an engineer, but I am not a medical professional. But I learned so much about my shoulder and the construction of it and the complexity of that joint. It's the most complex joint in the human body. But if you're thinking about it, I guess all I could recommend is I listened to my orthopedic surgeon. I listened to my physical therapist. I asked a lot of questions, but they're the experts. And so I did, what they had asked. And when they pushed me to push myself, I did that. Sometimes I did make progress. Other times I did, but I stuck with it. And then I could see that there was progress over the long term being made. So if you are deciding on whether to get a shoulder procedure, I wish you the best. I hope that everything turns out as you hope it will turn out. For those that maybe have just recently had surgery and you're now going through physical therapy, I hope that is going well for you. I was fortunate. I know not everyone is. I didn't have any major setbacks. I had a couple of stumbles. I touched on those in the video, and they scared me, physical stumbles. I caught myself, but I was in my sling, and the instant jerk motion was something that it scared me because there was pain, and I didn't know if I had done any damage. I did not, but at the time, you don't know that, and so it can be a bit scary and worrisome. But hopefully you can stay at it, find some progress along the way, find some joy in finding that progress. Again, be patient. And I hope that any of those that had previous surgery over the months or the year ago since I've been through this, that you are having a similar outcome. And with that, I guess I'll sign off. Again, 1 year later, I am perfectly happy with the way everything has turned out. Feeling good about it, and I wish you all the best. And we'll see if I record another video or not. But at this point, that's kind of a 1 year wrap. And I hope that you all are doing well and take care of yourselves.